All right, so in most stories, you kind of know what the villains are after, right? They want to conquer the world, grab ultimate power, get some good old-fashioned revenge. But in the world of Ethelgard, well, the bad guys are playing a completely different game. A much bigger, much stranger game. So let's dive right in and take a look at these unique forces that are trying to tear down reality itself.
Okay, let's just get straight to the heart of this thing with a big question. What if the villain's ultimate goal wasn't actually to win? What if they were just trying to prove that the very idea of winning is completely pointless? I mean, think about that. That's the core philosophical battleground of Aethelgard. And trust me, it changes everything.
Right, so we're talking about a war for reality. This isn't your typical good guys versus bad guys kind of fight. No. This is a war for reality. The stakes aren't land or some magic throne. We're talking about the fundamental laws of existence, the very fabric of your soul. It's that big.
So to really wrap our heads around this, there's a key term you need to know, the ontological antagonist. Now, this isn't just some rival with a different plan, you know? This is a metaphysical threat, a being whose very existence is an attack on the hero's reality. It's a walking, talking contradiction to everything they believe is true.
In this whole war for reality, it's basically fought between two totally opposite flavors of nihilism. You know, the belief that life is meaningless. So on one side, you've got the pale cynic. He's the spirit of gravity, basically passive nihilism. Think of him as the crushing weight of despair. And on the other side, you've got Wotan. He's the lightning bolt. This is active nihilism, a storm of pure will that literally shatters reality.
All right, let's start with that first pole, the nihilism of despair. This is the philosophy of just giving up. It's the creeping idea that all struggle is totally futile, and it's personified by one truly terrifying figure.
And here he is, Dr. Johannes Diogen, aka the Pale Cynic. Now, if we're talking psychology, he's the classic shadow archetype. He is literally the dark side of our hero's personality, all the stuff they try to push down and ignore. They call him the failed experiment, and he's this haunting reminder of what happens when pure reason stares into the void and blinks.
And his backstory is a real tragedy, you know? It's all about good intentions gone horribly wrong. He came from this thing called Project Willy, a Cold War program designed to create a psychic super weapon of, get this, optimism. But someone sabotaged it. They introduced these glitches into his simulation, and instead of coming out as this beacon of reason, he just inverted. He became a creature of pure negative will, a walking, talking no to existence.
And this really gets to the core of what the cynic believes. His entire purpose is to prove one soul-crushing point, that beneath every hero lies a terrified biological machine. He thinks all our ideals, all our courage, all that heroism, it's just a paper-thin mask hiding a scared animal that's just trying not to die.
See, the cynic isn't trying to kill the hero. Oh no, he's after something so much worse. He wants to cause what's called combat catatonia. That's his real endgame. It's that exact moment when a hero is so completely overwhelmed by futility that they just stop. They literally drop their weapon, not because they're scared, but because they've had this profound, soul-crushing realization that absolutely nothing they do matters. And he has a whole toolkit designed to do this, weapons that attack the mind, not the body. First is his lantern of anti-light. It doesn't burn you, it exposes you. It just dissolves a soldier's social mask and shows the raw animal fear hiding underneath. Then you've got the Pithos, his barrel, which is basically a giant middle finger to the entire material world. And maybe worst of all is his aura of pessimism, which telepathically shatters a team's morale, making them hate being near each other but terrified of being alone.
And of course, he's not alone. He has this companion, this canine familiar called Atman Null. And this thing, it represents the final step in the cynic's whole philosophy, just totally abandoning reason and regressing to blind animal instinct. The creature radiates this psychic field that just makes soldiers want to drop their guns, curl up in a ball, and just stop thinking. And for a hero who's all about taking action, that is the absolute ultimate defeat.
Okay, so that's the nihilism of despair. Now let's do a complete 180 and look at the total opposite extreme. If the cynic's whole deal is to make you believe that nothing matters, our next guy believes that only he matters, and he is more than willing to destroy reality itself just to prove it.
Meet Wotan, the Mad Rune King. And check this out. Where the cynic was the failed experiment, Wotan is the absolutely terrifying, successful precursor. He is what happens when a person's ego isn't just unchecked, it becomes a weapon of mass destruction. He literally chose to liquidate his own humanity just so he could become a living, breathing rupture in the fabric of reality.
I mean, his transformation was nothing short of apocalyptic. He started out as this really brilliant but physically weak scribe named Friedrich. Then, during some other top-secret project, he gets blasted with a huge dose of violet gamma radiation. But here's the thing. Instead of killing him, he saw it as a key, a conduit for his insane will to power. And in that moment, he uttered one single reverse atomic key.
Kimoda. And that one word, it didn't just give him superpowers. It completely unmade his mortal body and remade him as a god of pure chaos. In that one instant, his personal will completely overwrote the laws of physics.
So now, Wotan doesn't play by the rules of physics. He literally rewrites them with something called violent grammar. His runes aren't suggestions, they're commands that reality has to obey. So he uses the Thurazaz rune to just declare that a fortress wall doesn't exist, and poof, it's gone. He uses Issa to linguistically delete the concept of motion, and bullets will just freeze in midair. It's insane. And Anzu's, that one forces you to confront every lie you've ever told yourself, causing a complete psychological meltdown.
Okay, so let's recap. We have two absolutely terrifying, polar opposite forces. One wants to dissolve all meaning, and the other wants to impose his meaning on everyone and everything. So what's the point, right? How does a hero even begin to fight that? Well, this is where we get to the real purpose of these villains in the story.
This is what we call the dialectic of the abyss. It's this fundamental clash of ideas. On the one hand, you had the cynic's passive no to life, the slow erosion of your will to even get out of bed. On the other, you have Wotan's hyper-aggressive yes, his will to power that shatters reality. You've got the failed experiment versus the successful precursor. Total stagnation versus pure destructive energy.
So the hero's journey here isn't about picking a side, and it's definitely not about winning a normal fight. The real path forward is through a psychological process, something called the transcendent function. Basically, it's when you're faced with two powerful opposing forces, and instead of choosing one, you find a way to synthesize them, to combine their opposition into something totally new and more whole. The goal isn't to win, it's to grow. And this gives our hero a really clear three-step path to evolving. Step 1, they have to integrate their shadow. That means accepting the cynic's brutal truth, that, yeah, we're all a bit flawed and fragile. That dose of humility is what keeps them from turning into an egomaniac like Wotan. Step 2, they have to discard their own ego, learning to stop trying to control a chaotic world and instead, dance in the ruins. And when they do that, when they synthesize those two lessons, they emerge as the Red Architect, someone who can actually create and build new things from the broken shards of the world.
Which kind of leaves us with this one big final thought to chew on. In a world that's defined by these kinds of reality-breaking threats, maybe the ultimate victory isn't about defeating the abyss. Maybe it's about having the courage to stare right into it, gather up all the broken pieces, and learn how to build something with them.